Now, if you look at the equation, you will see, measuring from what we've learned by the crater size and this kind of thing, that it was about 1,600 pounds that went into the making of that bomb. But that bomb is omnidirectional, so they had to have enclosed the bomb probably with some type of steel sheeting that would give it the force multiplier to direct all of that energy right toward that 9-story building. That does not come in the Army Demolition Manual. So there are 3 suspects in any kind of... Only 2 have been identified by the media. One was the Islamic terrorist organization. Remember, they caught the American Jordanian and sent him back from Great Britain. Opened up his suitcase in Rome and said, aha, there are things in here that could be used for making bombs. A pair of tweezers and some glue. Well, I mean, maybe you could use tweezers and that stuff, but they have released him because it doesn't make any sense. Now, the second is the American Patriot movement, a generic term, not putting it to any label. You're hearing things today, for example, that these people that have been arrested now, 2 that you have seen their sketches, have been now taken into custody. 1 surrendered, 1 was arrested. And you have heard them, the news, say they have ties to the militia in Michigan. And the Michigan militia has ties to the Montana militia. And the Montana militia is a hate group that has ties to the Aryan nations. Hate, hate, hate. All right, now let's look and see how much of this can be true. And I want to try to maybe clear up so you'll know how to ask intelligent questions and maybe answer for you. Who, what, when, where, why, how. I don't believe it had much to do with the Patriot movement, even though I'm going to show you in a few moments why the Patriot movement is going to be under the microscope. But who is the other suspect? Who would have the technical ability to detonate a bomb that could destroy a 9-story building without taking out the other buildings around, focus itself right on the federal government? Who could do that other than, and you know who trains the Islamic Jihad? I don't know who trains them today. I'm sure their own trainers do. But I'm ashamed to tell you this, but this is the truth. And you can check it. Matter of fact, you go back and look at Time magazine. There's a man named Ed Wilson. Ed Wilson is spending 40 years in solitary confinement. The reason? He sold explosives to Colonel Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. He says he's working for the CIA. Where do you get all this stuff if you're not? The thing that they don't tell you in the Time magazine is that he took a team of special forces with him. I know some of them personally. I thought it was outrageous. And this is one point I want to make to you. I used to tell these people that I know, that I have spent time in combat with, someday we're going to come for Muammar Gaddafi. And if you're there, you're going to have to go along because what you're doing is wrong. And here is the point I want to make. Do you know what some of those people told me? This is just a characteristic answer, but it's a quote from one particular sergeant major. They said, "We don't care. It is our president. Right or wrong, we will do whatever he says. We don't care what it is, whether it be right or wrong." Friends, it didn't work at Nuremberg, and it shouldn't be applicable to the United States military today. But that's the attitude. When you talk radicals, you have radicals all right out here in the hinterland of America, in the heartland of Oklahoma, but you've got radicals within the government service also who don't care what it is. They will do it just because they get the nod from the highest office of the land. So I want you to ponder that. Now then, this was a horrific thing that happened. Again, it was very expertly put together, so I submit to you that there is a third candidate, and that is elements within the United States government. Now, many of you may clap your hands over your ears right now, close your eyes down, and muffle your mouths and say, "Oh my goodness, I cannot see it, I will not hear it, I would never speak of it. How could that ever happen?" I want you to consider something. Did we train terrorists? Did we sell munitions and explosives to Islamic terrorists in Libya and train them? Did we or didn't we? The answer is clear. You got a man in solitary confinement that admits, yes. Matter of fact, he says, if you think there's a lot to be found by looking at me, you ought to look at Ollie North. Now, do we have a government? Now, I'm making a generic term. This doesn't mean the little guys that work in Oklahoma City. It doesn't mean the little fellows that are hooking and jabbing trying to do their job under the federal system. I'm talking about an overall movement. Do we have a government that would overdose its population? Let me ask you the question. Did the United States government, elements of it, deal trafficking in illegal narcotics during the Southeast Asian War Games? Absolutely. Look at Ollie North. When we transferred from trying to, and maybe you say, but Bo, why? Why? Well, let's go back and analyze a statement made by the conscience of America, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., only made himself in drag every now and then. J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover, longest living bureaucrat, or bureau rat, whichever way you want to look at it, said this: we don't care about people who use illegal narcotics. They are un-American, and mainly in the black ghettos. This released the CIA. It gave them license. If J. Edgar Hoover said we don't care, then let's overdose them. Let's get rid of them. And so we needed to be in Laos and Cambodia. I know when they made the movie Apocalypse Now, they got a hold of me down in Panama and wanted to put the photograph in General William C. Westmoreland's book in as a movie promotion because there was a Colonel Kurtz commanding an army of Cambodians, and I was a Major Gritz who actually did command an army of Cambodians, and they wanted to superimpose Marlon Brando's face over mine. The Pentagon advised me not to do it, and after I saw the movie, I understood why. We didn't take LSD, and we didn't have any dancing girls, at least in the parts of Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam that I was in. Point. We needed to be in there to interdict the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Congress would not allow it. Congress would not give a penny to do it. Did we do it? Friends, there were almost 700 Americans missing in Laos and Cambodia, wars that were never declared, but were they there? Yes, they were there. They never came home, did they? What were they doing there? Every one of them off course. So did the government lie? Yes, something that it does very well. Poindexter, Secord, Ollie North. Those are admitted liars within the government. What I'm trying to do is get you to see, did the CIA organize coups all over the globe? Did the CIA have a memorial hospital in Montreal that innocent people went to thinking they could gain health care, and the CIA experimented on them with mind control techniques? Did that happen? People, I can show you in the newspapers where only a few years ago patients that are still alive were being awarded millions of dollars for their case against the Central Intelligence Agency. My point, you may think that Big Brother and Great White Father are above doing something like blowing up the federal building in Oklahoma City. But let me just give you, before you close your ears completely, a little bit of food for thought. In 1532, Niccolo Machiavelli, Italian philosopher, had a prince, and he advised him, if you want to do something to the people that the people will not allow you to do without revolution, there is a way. You create a problem, and then the people will applaud you for your solution, where otherwise they would revolt. Now, in the early 1800s, 1817, we had a man by the name of George with no E, Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. He taught at the University of Heidelberg. He put out an encyclopedia of scientific philosophy. And he says, just about like Niccolo Machiavelli, but with a little twist. And the reason I'm telling you this is because this is official language. When you go to the schools of the military, to the War College, when you go to the State Department schools, these are methods and techniques that are used even today so that you understand